So friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala to continue our journey of understanding object-oriented concepts in programming using C++. In our previous modules, we have seen and discussed functions in C++. Now in this module, we are going to discuss a function which is a special member function known as constructor. In C++, every object is created using a special function called constructor. And the task of this function is to create the object and to ensure that the object starts out with having some meaningful value in its data members. So in this session today, we are going to discuss what is constructor, what is the need of constructor, how to define a constructor in our own class, and how can we initialize the data members in constructor using member initialization list. Now, as we said that the job of this particular function is to do the initialization, let us first start with the importance of initialization. We know that a variable of standard data type can be initialized at the time of declaration. As an example, if we want to define a variable sum, we can define it as int sum is equal to 0. Now, here we are defining a variable sum and we are initializing some meaningful value 0 to sum. So, sum starts out with some meaningful value known as 0. The variable initialization is important so that we do not accidentally use this variable without assigning some meaningful value to it. And in the similar manner, the initialization of object is also important so that we do not accidentally start out with the object without assigning or without having some meaningful initial values to its data members. Now the question is, how to initialize object? Well, one way to accomplish this is that in our class we define a member function which does the job of initializing the data members. For example, let's revisit our time class. In our time class, we can define a special function. Let's say we give the name to that special function as init. Now in this init function, we initialize the data members of time class, namely hours, minutes and seconds. Now as you see in the program, when we would declare the variable of time class, in our program we have declared two time objects, namely start time and end time. Now when we have declared these two objects, at that time initialization is not being done. Now if we use these objects, they will be having some garbage value into their data members. But if we want that these data members of these objects have some meaningful values, in that case we need to explicitly invoke init function. So as you can see in the program, after declaring start time and end time, what we would do? We would invoke init function on both of these objects, and once this init function is executed on both the objects, the data members of both the objects will have some meaningful default values. We observe here that this process of assigning initial values to data members of an object is very different from the way we initialize the variable of standard data type. Here, the initial value or the initialization of the variable is not happening at the time of the creation of that variable. Here, after creation of the object, we are explicitly invoking some function and then the initialization is taking place. This kind of arrangement will serve the purpose, but the problem is that this kind of process of initialization would require the programmer to remember that before he or she uses the object, he has to invoke init function. And programmers often forget these minor details. So actually what is desirable is that in case of objects also, the data members must be initialized at the point of declaration, or at the time of creation only the initial value must be assigned to its data members. Now the question is that can we initialize the data members of an object at the time of its creation? The answer to this question is yes, we can. To do so, we can define a special member function called constructor, and once we do that, the object's data members can be initialized with some default values at the time of its creation. Now, if we look at our time class, you would see that we have not defined any constructor. Now, in C++, C++ runtime system always invokes a constructor or needs to invoke a constructor or needs a constructor for creation of the object. So, every object in C++ is created with the help of constructor or by means of invocation of constructor. But if we see our time class, we see that we have not defined any constructor. Now, when we have not defined any constructor, then how our objects start time and end time are getting constructed? Well, they are getting constructed because we haven't defined any constructor in our class. The compiler generated a default constructor and it is the compiler provided constructor using which the start time and end time objects are getting created. The constructor which compiler provides will create the object, but it would not initialize the data members of the class with some meaningful values. So, the creation of the objects will happen, but the data members will be having some garbage values. But we would want that whenever the object is created, the data members are initialized with some meaningful values. So, if we want the data members to be initialized with some specific values, we need to define our own constructor. Now, let us see what is constructor and how can we create a constructor or how can we define a constructor for our class. Constructors are special member functions. They are special because unlike other objects, they have some specific characteristics. Now, what are these characteristics? That the name of the constructor is always same as that of class name. Second, the constructor do not have a return type, not even void. And third, constructors are invoked automatically. They are not to be explicitly invoked. Whenever the object is created, compiler would automatically invoke constructors. Let us see the syntax of constructor. The syntax of the constructor is name of the constructor, that is name of the class, followed by the parameter list, followed by the body of the constructor. Let us define a constructor for our time class. As you can see in the program, the constructor that we have defined has the same name, that is time, that is same as that of class name. It does not have any parameter and then it has a constructor body. In that constructor body, we have initialized all the data members of time class, that is hours, minutes and second with value 0. Now, once we provide this constructor in our class, when we create now start time and end time objects of time class, they would be constructed using our constructor. The compiler will provide constructor only when we do not provide a constructor in our class, but once we provide our constructor in the class, for the construction of the objects, user defined constructor will be used. So, now the start time and end time objects will be created using our constructor that we have defined inside the class, and in that case you would see that there is no need of explicit invocation of any function like init or any other function for that matter. So, now the process of initialization has become similar to the way the variables of standard data type are initialized. This constructor is helping in making our data type behave similar to that of standard data type. One of the thrust at the C++ design was to make our data type similar to standard data type or make them behave similar to standard data type as much as possible. So, constructor would help us achieving the initialization of objects in similar manner as the initialization of standard data type variable happens. Now, the start time and end time are created, not only created, their data members hours, minutes and seconds are having some meaningful initial values, that is 0, 0, 0. Now, if we have this constructor in our class, you would see that every object that we create of that class will be initialized with value 0, 0 and 0. So, we have defined a default initial value for every object that we are creating. constructor which does not have any parameter will always be initializing a very data members with one specific values, and every object of that class created using this constructor will always get initialized with that specific value. Therefore, the constructor with no argument is called default constructor, because whenever an object is created using that constructor, the data members of that object are always initialized with those default values that we have specified in the constructor. The constructor that compiler provides us is also default constructor. The only difference is that it does not initialize the variable with some meaningful values. Our default constructor will initialize the data members with some meaningful values, but every object created using that constructor will be initialized with same initial values. But sometimes we may want that different objects of time class should be initialized with different initial values. If we want so, in that case we can create a parameterized constructor. Now, how to create a parameterized constructor? Let us see that with the help of our time class. So, let us try defining a parameterized constructor in a time class. Here we are defining constructor with 3 parameters. Now, these three parameters will pass the initial values with which we want hours, minutes and second to be initialized. Now, when we create our objects, here we are creating our objects T1, T2 and T3. Now, you would see that T1 we are creating without passing any parameters. So, it requires a default constructor for its creation, and T1 and T2 are created using where we are supplying the parameters. Therefore, they require a parameterized constructor for their construction. As other member functions of the class can be overloaded, constructors can be overloaded as long as they differ in number and type of the arguments. Now, this we can see in the time class of ours. Here we have 3 constructors. One is default constructor, another constructor is a constructor with one argument, and then we have a third constructor which has 3 arguments. But here one important point to be noted is that once we define a constructor, whether it is default or parameter, when we define even one constructor, the compiler will not provide a default constructor to it. Therefore, in this time class example, if we remove the default constructor, in that case time T1 this declaration will not work. This will not work because for construction of T1 we require a default constructor. In our class we have not defined default constructor, but we have defined parameterized constructor. Therefore, compiler will also not be providing or creating a default constructor for our class. So, in absence of any default constructor in the class, the declaration time T1 will not work. So, generally it is a good practice that whenever we define a parameterized constructor, we should also define a default constructor in our class. As we can have default parameters in functions in C++, in the similar fashion constructors also can have default arguments. Now, once we have this default value, the second constructor can be replaced with third constructor. Now, with this constructor, it is possible for us to construct an object with one argument, it is possible for us to construct the object with 2 arguments, it is also possible for us to construct the object with 3 arguments. Only thing that we need to take care is that if we have a constructor with 1 argument and we have this kind of constructor having 3 arguments, but 2 of them are default ones, there can be an ambiguous situation, because when we try constructing an object passing 1 argument, both the constructors will be applicable. Now, when we want to initialize the data members in the constructor, there is another way to initialize the member is that is called member initialization list. In member initialization list, using member initialization list, when we do the initialization of the data members will happen outside the body of the constructor. Let us understand this with the help of the example. Now, here you would see in the example that we have defined a parameterized constructor, but the initialization of the data member is not done inside the constructor of body, it is done through the member initialization list. And in member initialization list, the assignment is appearing in the comma separated list after the function header and before the body of the constructor. Now, whether we initialize the data members inside the constructor body or we initialize outside the constructor body member initialization list, the end result will be same. But there are certain situations wherein the use of member initialization list for the initialization becomes necessary. Let us have a look at those situations or those cases where the use of member initialization list for initializing the object data members of the object will become necessary. Let us take an example of a class student, and let us say we have 3 data members in the class student, namely int roll number, const int maximum marks and int ampersand marks obtained. Now, here the first is a normal integer variable, the second one is the integer constant, and the third variable marks obtained is a object reference or it is a integer reference variable. Now, when we try to initialize these data members using a constructor, we can initialize the roll number inside the constructor body, but marks obtained and maximum marks cannot be initialized within constructor body, because maximum marks is a constant variable and marks obtained is a integer reference variable. So, as you see in the program, these two statements which are initializing the marks obtained and maximum marks inside the constructor body will not work. So, for initialization of such data members, member initialization list is the only option. How do we initialize these data members using member initialization list? That you can see in the example. Another case where the use of member initialization list becomes mandatory for the initialization is that if the data member of a class is the object of another class, then also the initialization of such member has to be done with the help of member initialization list. Now, let us understand this with the help of two classes, door and room. Now, every room has a door. So, room class will have a data member which is an object of door class. As you can see in the example, we have defined a room class and its object of door is the data member of class room. Now, here to initialize D in constructor, we will have to take help of member initialization list. As you can see in the example, we have initialized this object using member initialization list. This becomes mandatory if we do not have a default constructor in door class. In this case, the constructor is having the parameter of door class. So, the following steps are executing. The door class default constructor is called for parameter R. The assignment of operator of door is called inside the body of room constructor to assign D is equal to R, and then finally destructor is called, that is destructor of door class is called when R goes out of scope. We will discuss about destructor in the next session. But if we initialize the D data member using member initialization list, then following steps will be done. What are those? Copy constructor of door class is called to initialize D, and then destructor of door is called when R goes out of scope. Now, you can see that when in the case in which we are using member initialization list, one step of assignment has been removed, making it more efficient. Now, in MIL, when we use it, the initialization of the data member does not happen in the sequence in which the initialization is, the list of variable is defined in member initialization list. The initialization happens in the order in which the data members are defined in the class. Again, to understand this, let us use another example. In the above example, the MIL contains the initialization in the sequence third, first and second, but the members are initialized in the sequence of their declaration, that is initialization will be done in the sequence first, second and third. Well, there are more to constructor which we need to understand, but rest of the things about the constructor we will be discussing in the next module. Let me quickly summarize that what we have learned about the constructor in this module. We learned that in C++ all the objects are constructed using constructor function. If a class does not have any constructor, compiler provides a default constructor. Constructor is invoked implicitly by compiler at the time of object creation. Constructor can also be overloaded just like other member functions. We also saw that MIL is another way of initializing class objects, and we understood that MIL is must to initialize const, reference and member objects. There are many things that we still need to discuss about the constructor that we will be discussing in the next module. So, we will be meeting in the next module to discuss more about constructor. Thank you.